everyone, it's Carly Burridge, founder and owner of Gaining Health, and we are back for another episode of What's Up Wednesday, where usually I review journal articles. We're going to do it a little bit differently this time. This time I'm actually going to do a book review. So the book that I am reviewing today is called Why We Get Sick: The Hidden Epidemic at the Root of Most Chronic Diseases and How to Fight It. So this book is written by Ben Bikman, who is a PhD and a leading scientist and physiologist in the study of insulin and insulin resistance at BYU. And in this book, he explains in detail how insulin resistance and resultant hyperinsulinemia affects our cells and our organ systems, and how it contributes to the development of so many of the chronic diseases that we as providers are seeing every day in our clinics. Everything from cancer, heart disease, Alzheimer's, type 2 diabetes, hypertension, fatty liver, low testosterone, infertility, PCOS, menstrual irregularities, and also the bidirectional relationship of insulin resistance and obesity, and so much more. So that's kind of part one. And then in part two, he reviews in a lot of detail how we develop insulin resistance. Like, why are we developing this? How does this develop? What are the major contributing factors? And then lastly, in part three, he covers how we can prevent and reverse insulin resistance. And then at the very end, he really brings it home by making it very practical by providing things like food lists, meal suggestions, exercise tips, and a lot more to really help people overcome this if they are struggling with insulin resistance and how to prevent it in the first place. So this book meant a lot to me because I've been so passionate about insulin's role in our health and metabolism ever since I first discovered the role of insulin in substrate utilization. Basically, how insulin determines whether glucose or fat is being used as a fuel source, which was back in 2005, when I was in a lecture for my master's in clinical exercise physiology. And this knowledge, that one lecture, that knowledge changed my life and my health and has really dictated how I think about nutrition, activity, and a lot of other lifestyle factors. And this book really highlighted everything that I have been practicing with myself and my patients. And it's written so well, and it gives such great physiologic detail about the mechanism of action. And it definitely really added to my understanding of the physiologic effects of insulin and how it really pretty much impacts every single cell in our body. So I really think that every provider and actually every person who cares about their health should read this book. A couple months ago, I had my annual physical, and I asked my primary care provider to order a fasting insulin for me. And she was like, why? Like, why do you want to know what your insulin is? Like, why would I care what my patient's insulin levels are? I'm checking their glucose and their A1C. Well, this book explains why. And I know we still have a little ways to go with measuring insulin and determining insulin resistance. But in my opinion, one thing that we can do right now is to order a fasting insulin and a fasting glucose, and then use that information to calculate the HOMA2 insulin resistance score. And I know that there's still some issues with this, and I know it's not perfect, but I think it's a great place to start. And in the book, he also describes how we can use those values and which values we should be looking at when it comes to a fasting insulin level and HOMA-IR scores. So one small critique that I do have of this book is he does have a short section on anti-obesity medications and metabolic and bariatric surgery. And I don't think that section quite does those treatment options justice, but I also recognize that this is not his area of specialty. He's not an obesity medicine clinician. So I'll give him a pass on that because the rest of the book is really so excellent. And I read a lot of books on this topic, and it's rare that I come away being super excited about a book, but I am very excited about this one. So get this book from Ben Bikman, Why We Get Sick. And then lastly, don't forget, if you are trying to develop an obesity medicine program or clinic, and you're trying to figure out how to do that and you need some help, be sure to check out my book, Developing an Obesity Management Program, The Healthcare Provider's Roadmap. That and then the templates and other resources, including consulting as well, are available on gaininghealth.com. So check that out. And if you want to stay up to date on everything that's going on there, make sure you subscribe at gaininghealth.com. So that's it for this week. I will see you next week for another What's Up Wednesday. Take care.